Let's get going here. So welcome. Let's get started on our feet today. You can have your feet at least hips width distance apart, maybe even slightly wider, with a gentle bend in the knees, just so they're not locked out. And then draw the shoulders up to the ears and roll them down the back. And one more time, draw the shoulders up to the ears and roll them back. And then with that open chest, stand up nice and tall, chin parallel to the ground. And close the eyes. Take a moment here to feel every inch of your foot in connection with the earth. Feel the roots connecting with the earth beneath you, providing that strong base. And then begin to notice the breath. Notice how it feels as it enters the nose, in the back of the throat. And then notice where it goes from there. And once again, rooting down the feet into the earth. And then bring one hand to the belly and one hand to the heart. We'll make the breath a little bit more intentional to both slow it down and begin to relax and detox our system. So on the next inhale, inhale to a count of 4, bringing it all the way down to the belly. And once you have reached that count of 4, hold the belly in extension for a count of 4. And then gently exhale to a count of 4 and hold the breath out for a count of 4. So continue that, inhaling to a count of 4, and this is your count of 4. Hold an extension for the same amount of time. Exhale for that same count of 4, and then hold the breath out for a count of 4. So take a few rounds of that. And then finish the round that you're on and take one more. And when you finish that last round, just allow your hands to come away from the body, palms face forward, or relax the hands toward the body. Take one more deep inhale, noticing if there's any place where you're still holding on to tension. And exhale the breath back out. Gently flutter the eyes open. And sweep the arms out, up, and overhead. Gaze can follow as the palms gently come to touch. Really reaching out of those fingertips, letting the gaze be gentle up toward the ceiling. And then as you exhale, bring the hands through heart center, hinge at the hips, plant the palms, step it back in a downward facing dog. Take any movement you'd like here in down dog. Or just find yourself in some stillness. Really just feel into the body, whether that means that you're playing with the shapes of your body or that you're really focusing on the breath. And if you've taken a movement toward one side, make sure to even it out and take it toward the other. And eventually we'll meet in stillness in down dog. Pressing those heels toward the earth, even if they don't touch, it's fine. And take tiny steps, toe in front of toe, taking your time to find yourself in a forward fold at the top of your mat. Bend the knees as much as you need to make connection with the earth. And just let the head hang heavy here. Inhale to halfway lift, fingertips come to top of shins. And exhale, forward fold. This time, grab opposite elbows. And as you inhale, send those elbows over toward the right, twisting the torso, and then rising all the way up, forearms face the ceiling. On your exhale, you'll go toward the left, eventually finding yourself in a forward fold. Let yourself hang heavy here, head hangs heavy. And then we'll take that move to the other side. So as you inhale, the arms come up and over toward the left, rising all the way up. You can reach out of the forearms. And then as you exhale, continue that circle until you find your forward fold. Just slowly warming up the body here. And we'll take one more each of those, up and over to the right. And down and around to the left. And then up and over to the left. And down and over to the right. And then release the hands. Inhale to halfway lift. And exhale to forward fold. Round through the spine, rising all the way up, head rises left. Once you rise at the top, draw the shoulders up to the ears once again and roll them down the back. Draw the shoulders up to the ears and roll it down the back. And then inhale the arms up and overhead, palms or fingertips come to touch, gaze follows. Rooting down into the feet, make the legs nice and strong, but keeping that gentle unlock of the knees. Bring the gaze back to center and drop the chin down toward the chest. And then gaze back to center. As you exhale, sweep the arms open in a large T over to the right. So the bottom half of the body stays with the hips facing forward. It's just the top half of the body and the arms that are twisting. Really send that energy out of the fingertips. And gaze can go wherever it's comfortable, either toward the side of your mat or over that back shoulder. And then inhale the arms back up and overhead. As you exhale, twisting the other way. Inhale the arms back up and overhead. And then bring the hands through heart center. As you hinge at the hips, plant the hands, step it back into downward facing dog. Once again, pedaling it out here, taking any movement your body is calling for just a few rounds of breath. And then find some stillness in your dog. And we'll do that same sequence again. Take some tiny steps toward the top of the mat. We'll move just a little bit quicker this time. So fingertips in connection, knees bent as much as you need to for that forward fold. Find the belly against the thighs this time. And as you inhale, push the belly against the thighs. Really feel that connection. As you exhale, gently pull the belly away from the thighs. And then inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Find the opposite clasp of the elbows. And then as you inhale, rise up and over to the right. And down and around to the left. And then take it the other way, up and around to the left. And down and around to the right. And release the hands. Roll the spine until you rise. Head rises last. Inhale the arms up and overhead. Gaze follows. Palms or fingertips touch. Keep the shoulders away from the ears. Gently gazing up. And then keep the hands where they are. Drop the chin down toward the chest. Bring the chin back to center, gaze back to center, and sweep the arms open to the right. Maybe play around with the placement of the gaze. Keeping those feet rooted into the ground. And then inhale the arms back up and overhead and sweep it open to the left. Hips face forward. Top of the body twists open, gaze where it's comfortable. Inhale the arms up and overhead. And exhale to hinge at the hips, hands come through heart center. Plant the palms, downward facing dog. We'll spend just a round of breath here. Take one inhale through the nose and exhale it through the mouth. Last round, take tiny steps toward the top of the mat. Fingertips in connection, and we'll move one breath, one movement. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Grab opposite elbows here. Inhale up and over to the right. And exhale down and around to the left. Other way, inhale up and over to the left. And down and around to the right. Release the hands here. Inhale to halfway lift, fingertips to shins. And exhale to forward fold. Drop the head down, round through the spine to rise up. Gaze rises last. Inhale the arms up and overhead, palms come to touch, reaching up, gaze up. And then drop the chin down toward the chest. Feel that stretch through the shoulder blades. Inhale the gaze back up. And as you exhale, sweep the arms over toward the right, finding that T twist. Inhale the arms back up through center. And exhale to the left, T twist here. Hips are facing forward. Inhale the arms back to center. Palms come through heart center. Hinging at the hips, fold forward. Step it back into downward facing dog. Really rooting down through whatever part of your foot is touching the mat here. So for me, it's my toes and the balls of my feet. And maybe someday it'll be my heels. Press through the palms. And then root down into that left palm, slowly dragging the fingertips under the body until the fingertips touch the left thigh, the left calf, or maybe the left foot. So finding that twist through the torso. Once again, you can use the clasp of the right hand on the left leg as a little bit of leverage to find a little bit more twist. Press into the left palm, find your balance here, stay nice and sturdy. And then unwind, plant that right palm, we'll move right to the other side. The left hand begins to drag its fingertips under the body and makes connection with the thigh, the calf, or the foot of the right leg. Gaze under the right arm and use that hand as leverage to really twist through the torso. One more breath here. And then release the hand, downward facing dog. Drop the knees wide, toes together, child's pose. Keep this a nice active child's pose by pressing into the palms and keeping the forearms off the mat. Let the forehead rest on something, either the mat or if you have a prop handy. And then let the belly really release in between the thighs. And I say in between the thighs, but my belly is definitely touching both of my thighs here. So feel your belly brush against your thighs, press into the thighs as you inhale, and then gently move away as you exhale. Take one more of those. Inhale and exhale. And press into the palms. Find yourself back in a downward facing dog. And here, take tiny steps or step hop or float your way to the top of the mat. Forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. From here, just round through the spine. Once again, rising all the way up. Head rises last. Inhale the arms up and overhead. Palms come to touch. And then send the gaze forward. Sink down into the hips, chair pose. So arms can be together here, or they can be apart, or they can even be on your hips or at your heart center if they get a little tired. So adjust yourself here. Tuck that tailbone in a little bit so you're not so sway backed here. Holding here. And then from here, twist over toward your right, finding those long T arms once again. Take a look at your knees. Make sure the knees are in alignment with one another. And then come back to center. Bring your hands to heart center. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. And then hook the left elbow outside of the right knee. Once again, making sure those knees are in alignment. And then rise back up. Arms come up and overhead. Stay in that chair. Tucking the tailbone. And then rise up to stand. Taking a moment here with your arms overhead. On the next breath, sink down back into that chair. Bend the knees. Tuck the tailbone a little bit. This time, twist it over to the left. And then bring the hands to heart center. Find that chair a little deeper and hook the right elbow outside of the left knee. Just take a quick peek at the knees, make sure they're in alignment. Come back to center. Rise back up into your chair, releasing the arms overhead. And then straighten through the legs, rise back up. Bring the hands through heart center. As you hinge at the hips, folding forward, step it back into downward facing dog. And then we'll do that same thing, but adding on a little bit. So step, hop, or float your way to the top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Round through the spine, rise all the way up. Head rises last. Sweep the arms up and overhead, palms come to touch. Gaze goes up, rooting down into the feet. You know we're going into chair, so if you need to adjust your feet a little bit, make them a little wider or bring them closer, take a moment to do that. And then sink down into your chair pose. Tuck that tailbone. And then sweep it over to the right. Arms are in a long T. Hips are still facing forward. And then bring it back to center, hands back to heart center. Sink just a little bit deeper and then hook your left elbow outside of your right knee. Knees are in line. And from here, you'll step that left foot to the back of the mat. So you're in a twisted lunge here. Twisting a little bit more, bringing the thumbs to heart center. And then rise back up, arms in a T. Stay in that twisted lunge. And then sweep the arms up and overhead, high lunge. Holding here. And then grab opposite elbows. Once again, reaching out of those forearms. I'll face you here. And then over to the right. Finding that crescent shape, feeling the length in the left side of the body. And then back to center and find that crescent shape to the other side. Stretch through the right side of the body. And then come back to center. Release the arms up and overhead. As you frame your right foot, step it back into downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. One more time. And then step, hop, or float your way to the top of the mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Round through the spine, head rises last. Inhale the arms up and overhead. Getting nice and tall here, adjusting the feet in any way that you need to. And then sink down into your chair pose. Find that T-twist over to the left. And then bring the hands through heart center, tucking the tailbone just a little bit. And then hook the right elbow outside of the left knee. Knees are in line. From here, you will step the right foot all the way to the back of your mat. It's a little tough when I'm mirroring you. So you're hooked in that twisted lunge here. Bring the thumbs to heart center by twisting the belly a little bit more. And then rise up, arms go long. So you're still in that twisted lunge. And then release the arms up and overhead, high lunge. Holding here. Left knee is nice and bent. Right leg is long and straight. Then grab opposite elbows. And lean over to one side, finding that crescent shape in one side of the waist and the elongation in the other. And then come back to center and find that gentle bend over toward the other side. Come back to center, release the arms up and overhead. As you exhale, frame the foot, step it back, downward facing dog. Bring the toes together, knees nice and wide, arms out long in front of you. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. One more time. And then come up onto the fingertips, keeping the forehead connected with the ground or with a prop if you have one. Feeling a little bit more stretch through in between the shoulder blades. And then plant the palms once again. Come up onto hands and knees to find yourself in a tabletop pose here. Bring the knees underneath the hips and the wrists underneath the shoulders. Then begin to take just some free movement here. So maybe some big barrel rolls, maybe some cat-cows, connecting with the body. Making sure that when you do something to one side, you take that same movement on the other side. And if you haven't already, take a couple rounds of cat-cow. Inhale as you drop the belly, lift the gaze. Exhale as you drop the crown of the head, round the spine. And if you've already done cat-cows, then you continue with your own movement here. Eventually coming back to a still spine, still neutral spine. Pressing down into the shins, into the palms to stay nice and lifted out of the body. And then send that right leg long behind you. Point through the toes and then flex through the toes. Point and flex. That leg is coming straight out of the hip. And take some ankle circles to one side and some ankle circles to the other side. And then find that leg and foot in stillness, once again, pressing into the palms to stay lifted. From here, bring the knee to the upper right arm, right knee to right upper arm, and extend it back. And the knee to the elbow, and send it back. And knee to wrist, and send it back. Do one more round of that. Knee to upper arm. See how high you can get it, maybe even to your armpit. And send it back. And knee to elbow. And send it back. And knee to wrist. And send it back. Press into the palms once again. Find some stillness as both hip points face down toward the mat. And then we'll find that same movement, but twist underneath the body. So knee to upper left arm, if possible, or close to it, and then extend it back behind you. And then knee to elbow, to left elbow, and extend it behind. And knee to left wrist, send it back. And we'll do that one more time. Right knee to left upper-ish arm, send it back. Knee to left elbow, and send it back. And knee to left wrist, and send it back. And then release that knee down, coming back to tabletop, rock the hips from side to side. Then send that left leg long behind you. Point through the toes and flex. Keep both hip points facing toward the mat, pointing and flexing through the toes. And then find some ankle circles one way, and find them the other way. And then find some stillness through the leg and foot. And this time, the left Knee comes toward the left armpit or upper arm. And release it back. Knee toward the left elbow and send it back. And knee toward left wrist, send it back. One more round of that. Knee toward upper left arm and back. Knee toward elbow and back. And then knee toward left wrist and send it back. Readjust in any way you need to before we twist under the body. Wherever you are, press into the palms. And then left knee to upper right arm and back. Knee toward right elbow and back. And knee toward wrist and back. One more round. You know where we're going. Meeting back in tabletop. Rock the hips from side to side. And then just sit back on your heels for a minute, coming off of your arms, and bring your fingertips to your shoulders. And then just take some big circles here. So circle the elbows and arms forward. See if you can relax a little bit through the shoulders, keeping them away from the ears. And then take that same movement back. So like you have these big wings here. And take one more circle. Oops. And then you can release the hands down. Bring the fingertips down to the mat and really press the fingertips in so your arms are nice and straight and strong, your spine is nice and long, and your shoulders are open and away from the ears. From here, send the gaze up toward the sky. And then tuck the chin down toward the chest. Press into the fingertips to really feel a stretch in between the shoulder blades. And then rock the chin over toward the left shoulder. And back to center, and rock that chin over toward the right shoulder. And back to center. Bring the gaze back to center. Inhale the arms up and overhead, fingertips touch. Gaze goes up. And then exhale, bring the arms back down. Sweep the legs out to one side. And then plant the palms, coming back into tabletop for one round of cat-cow. Inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze. Exhale to round the spine, drop the crown of the head. And come back to neutral. Tuck the toes, push it back into downward facing dog. Adjust your dog, pedal it out, and then inhale the right leg back behind you. Exhale to step it through in between the hands. Rise all the way up into high lunge. This time, T-twist over toward the right. So we've been here, really bending through that right leg, and then sweep it back up into high lunge. Exhale to frame the right foot, plant the left palm, right arm floats up to the sky. Exhale to reframe the right foot and rise back up into high lunge. One more time, sweep it open into your T-twist. Sweep it back forward, high lunge. And exhale to frame that right foot, plant the left palm, right arm floats up to the sky. Reframe that right foot and step it back, downward facing dog. We'll take our first vinyasa of the class here, roll forward into a plank pose. Your choice of vinyasa. I'm going to do knees, chest, chin, Then float it forward into baby cobra. And then exhale it back. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg back behind you. Exhale to step it through in between the hands. Rise all the way up into your high lunge. And then T-twist it open. Sweep it back forward, high lunge. Exhale to frame the left foot, plant the right palm, left arm floats up to the sky. Exhale to reframe. And then rise back up, high lunge. Sweep it open into your T-twist. Hips are still pointing forward. And then sweep it back up, high lunge. Exhale to frame that left foot. Plant the right palm, left arm floats up to the sky. And then reframe the left foot. Step it back. Downward facing dog for just a breath. And then float it forward into plank pose. Take your vinyasa or skip it. We'll meet back in downward facing dog once again. And then really root down into the feet. Root down into that left palm. We'll take that underside body twist once again. So the right fingertips find the left thigh, the left calf, or the left foot. One more breath here. And then release that right hand. Take one breath here in full dog. And then plant through the feet, plant through the right palm, left fingertips, twist under the body. And then once you have made connection with the right leg, see if you can twist just a little bit more through the belly. One more breath. And then back to down dog. Inhale the right leg back up behind you. Exhale to step it through in between the hands. Rise up, high lunge. T-twist it over to the right. This time reverse your twist here. So left hand finds the left thigh, right hand finds the left thigh. Left arm is up and overhead. And then back to your T-twist and sweep it forward, high lunge. Exhale to frame that right foot, plant the left palm, right arm floats up to the sky. Frame the right foot, rise back up, high lunge. We'll do that one more time. Sweep it open to the right, reverse your twisted lunge here. Left arm is in the sky. And then back through your twist T arms. Sweep it back, high lunge. Exhale to frame the right foot, plant the left palm, right arm floats up to the sky. Exhale to reframe. Step it back, downward facing dog. Optional vinyasa. I'm actually going to skip this one, but you're welcome to take it. And we'll meet back in downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg back behind you. Exhale to step it through in between your hands. Rise up to high lunge. And then T-twist open. Energy out through those fingertips. And then twist your twisted lunge. Right arm high to the sky. Come back through your T-twist. Rise back up, high lunge, both arms overhead. And then frame that left foot, right palm plants. Left arm lifts. Frame the left foot. Rise back up, high lunge. T-twist open. Hips are facing forward, twist comes through the belly, and then reverse your twist. Come back through T-twist, arms release, overhead, high lunge. Frame the left foot, plant the right palm, left arm floats up to the sky. And then reframe that left foot, step it back, downward facing dog, and then release into child's pose. Toes together, knees nice and wide. We'll give our legs a little break. This time you can drop the forearms down or even sweep them behind you, or keep them wherever they're comfortable. Reconnect with that breath. And then press into the palms, come back into your tabletop pose. Rock the hips from side to side. And then send the right foot back, tuck the toes on the mat, and just give yourself a little push back so the right heel tracks toward the back of the mat, tracks toward the floor. Give a nice stretch to the back of the right leg. And then you can begin to rock it back and forth, forward and back, or even maybe take some circles. So you're getting into the back of the leg and the wrists a little bit. And then come back to your tabletop pose. We'll just do that on the other side. Extend the left leg long, tuck the toes on the mat. And first find this static pose by sending the heel toward the back of the mat, getting that stretch in the calf and the thigh, hamstrings. And then you can rock it back and forth. Maybe taking a circular movement one way and then the other, or whatever feels good to you. And then come back to your tabletop. Take one round of cat-cow. Inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze. Exhale to round the spine, drop the crown of the head. Then come back to neutral. Tuck the toes, press it back, downward facing dog. Really track those heels toward the mat, but keep a long straight spine. Holding here. And then bring it forward into your plank pose. Last optional vinyasa. Knees, chest, chin. Meeting back in downward facing dog. And then inhale that right leg back behind you. And bend through the knee to bring the knee toward the nose or forehead. And release it back, downward facing dog. Bring the right knee toward the right elbow. And back, three-legged dog. And then right knee toward left elbow, twisting under the body. And then back, downward facing dog, one more time. Knee to nose, release it back. Knee to right elbow, and release it back. And then knee to left elbow, release it back. From here, bend the knee. We're gonna go into pigeon pose. So bring the knee toward the right wrist, lowering yourself down. And the right foot is flexed. And then rise up onto your fingertips first. So take a look behind you. Make sure that your left leg is coming out of your left hip. Sit up nice and tall. You might want to prop underneath your right glute. And then you can either stay up here or you can come on down. Come down to your forearms. or you can come down onto a block or all the way onto the mat, wherever you're feeling today. And then if you can, once you find your chosen position, see if you can settle in a little bit more. You can drop the head down. We'll be here for a couple more rounds of breath. And then wherever you are, come back up onto your palms, onto your fingertips. Sitting up nice and tall here. Feel the opening of the chest and belly. And then plant the palms, tuck the left toes, and send that right leg back, taking any movement you need to release that pigeon pose. Eventually, we'll meet in down dog. And then inhale the left leg back behind you. Knee to nose. Three-legged dog. Left knee to left elbow. Three-legged dog. Left knee to right elbow, twisting under. Three-legged dog. One more time, knee to nose. Three-legged dog. Knee to left elbow. Three-legged dog. And knee to right elbow. Three-legged dog. This time as you bring it forward, bring the knee to the left wrist, setting up for your pigeon on the other side. Once again, starting nice and high here, up on the fingertips. And then you can look over that right shoulder. Make sure that the right leg is coming out of the right hip. Flex through the left foot. And then whatever you like here, you can stay up nice and tall, or you can come down onto forearms, or you can come down sleeping pigeon. And it might be different from the first side. I'm not sure I could have touched my forehead to the mat on the first side. Once you find your perfect pose, and they are all perfect, just settle in. I'll take a couple more rounds of breath here. And then when you're ready, come back up onto your palms, onto those fingertips. Take a moment to shine your heart forward, opening your heart space and your belly. And then palms plant, tuck the right toes. Last downward dog of the practice. So take any movement that you want here, getting rid of that last pose. Step, hop, or float your way to the top of the mat, forward fold. Grab opposite elbows and sweep it up and over to the right, rising all the way up and down and over to the left, back to forward fold. One more time to the other side, up and over to the left and down and around to the right. And then release the hands. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Sweep the fingertips, bend the knees, rise up, chair pose. Tuck that tailbone a little bit. Holding here, we'll stay here for 5 breaths. Nice and strong. And then rise up, straightening the legs, bring the palms together to touch, gaze toward the fingertips. And then leave the hands where they are, drop the chin down toward the chest. Gaze back to center. Bring the arms apart, bend the knees, one more chair pose. I promise. Tuck that tailbone, get nice and strong through the glutes, through the thighs, through the legs. And then sink the hips all the way down until you are seated on the ground. From here, find a crisscross of the legs, but not ankle on ankle, but rather ankle in front of ankle. Once again, sweeping the arms up and overhead. And exhale, plant the fingertips in front of you. Nice, straight, long spine. Feel free to stay here, or if you can stay rooted through the sits bones and keep a long spine, draw the hands out in front of you, finding this forward fold, last releasing of the hips here. Drop the head, round through the spine, drag the fingertips in. Head rises last, and then just switch that cross of the legs. Sit up nice and tall. Fingertips, sweep the arms up and overhead first. Gaze can follow. And then you can drop the fingertips down to the mat. Staying here, or once again, walking the hands out in front of you. Find a spot you can hold for a few rounds of breath. And then drag the fingertips around the spine to rise back up. Bring the knees both into the chest. Soles of the feet are on the mat. And then press the belly and the chest into those thighs. So get nice and long through the spine. And then drop the left knee out to the side. And then draw that left heel in toward the glute. And then draw the right foot across. So the right knee is facing the ceiling. Inhale the arms up and overhead, and twist over to the right. You can wrap the forearm or hook the elbow. Gaze wherever it's comfortable. And then slowly unwind, plant the palms toward the outside of the left hip. Just find that counter twist. And come back to center. Switch the cross of the legs. So you can uncross. This time, the right heel comes in toward the left glute, and the left foot crosses over the right thigh, sitting up nice and tall. Inhale the arms up and overhead, and then twist over toward the left, hooking the forearm or the elbow. Over the next breath, slowly unwind. Plant the palms to the outside of the right hip, counter twist. And then come back to center. Unwind the legs and find yourself on your back. Knees point toward the ceiling. Heels in close enough that you can almost touch them with your fingertips. And we'll take just a couple rounds of bridge here. So draw the shoulder blades underneath the body so the heart shines up toward the sky. Arms can stay where they are for this. As you inhale, press into the feet and roll up, bringing the lower back, middle back, and upper back up off the mat. And then exhale to slowly lower back down. Take one more round. Inhale to rise up. And exhale to lower down. Sweep the arms out to a T, and then take the feet as wide as your mat and rock the legs over to the left as the gaze goes over to the right. If you want a little bit more stretch in the hip or release of the lower back, you can hook that left foot on top of the right thigh. And then unhook the foot. Both knees come back to center and rock the knees over to the right, gaze over to the left. And if you'd like to hook that right foot on top of the left thigh, go ahead and do that. If you've hooked the foot, unhook it. Knees back to center, and then draw both knees into the chest. Give a nice hug. If you'd like to take a happy baby or any other final pose or shape, please do that. And then whenever you're ready, release the feet long, the arms wide. Close the eyes. And release into Shavasana. Letting the head be heavy and connected with the earth. And the eyeballs heavy and connected with the sockets. The feet splay out toward the sides of the mat. And the breath just becomes natural. You can start to reconnect with the breath. Move the fingertips and toes. Eventually rolling to one side, and then finally coming up to a seat. And as you do that, I'll read a poem to end our practice today. It was when I stopped searching for a home within others and lifted the foundation of home within myself that I found there was no more roots more intimate than those between a mind and body, that I have decided to be whole. And so we rooted down today, built that strong foundation in our legs, and used our breath to connect our mind and body. So I invite you to take that connection off the mat and out into the world. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Namaste.